All right, welcome everyone to our first webinar of the new financial year anyway, which is all about our CPD packages. My name's Aaron Dunn and I'm joined by David today. David, g'day, how are you?
Hello, everyone.
So as I mentioned, it's today we're going to take, I guess, both the practical look at our learning platform, but naturally help you to understand why people become CPD members and the benefits ultimately that you get from our CPD subscriptions. So a bit of an agenda. Naturally, we'll sort of kick things off with what we see in the industry with people maintaining their CPD, not only themselves, but obviously team members. We'll have a look at what we do as a business and how that CPD solution fits. And then we're going to dive in and actually explain to you and show you, most importantly as well, how we deliver the training, what as a member you expect of that training, including the issuing of accredited CPD, go in and show you the live demo around those things as well, and then naturally flip into some of the key benefits that we see, and then I guess a finishing off with the other aspects that we provide around our CPD education and support, in particular our course content and our new support solutions as well. So I guess kicking things off, we know still, and it naturally is a result of the fact that things continue to change in this area, the currency of knowledge still remains the number one challenge for SMSF practitioners today. And as I said, it's this constant evolution of legislation, whether it's things such as the proposed Division 296 tax laws and the fact that we have a number of clients impacted by that, and we're getting questions all the time around those things. We've got updates from the ATO as regulator, and off the back of the non-arm's length expense rules, for example, recently we've seen the ATO update their guidance on those things, and a whole range of matters that ultimately require us to keep up to date in terms of the advice and support that we provide our clients. So timing is then crucial to ensure that we A, have the knowledge to be able to provide that to our clients, and then B, tap into the issues, opportunities that may actually present within our client base. That's great, but part of then the next challenge for us is to go, well, how or where am I getting that information? And then if I get that information and gather that, well, how am I actually dispersing that across my organization? So you may be the one person that goes off and does it, but then how do we ensure that the rest of the team, whether they are in the office with you, they may be at home, they may be offshore. We know now that we have a fairly global workforce within our financial services industry, so financial planners, advisors, accountants, auditors, and the like. And it's that knowledge transfer internally, not only about how the law works, but how we do things in our practice as well, that is crucial, and why our CPD education and remaining up to date remains so important and very much at the top of the challenges within our firms. And the other aspect to this is, well, I'm an accountant or I'm a financial advisor or I'm both. And how do we make sure in the context of our multiple professional bodies that we're actually ticking all the boxes around the various knowledge areas in getting our 40 hours here or 120 hours over a triennium, or 60% of those hours that I get need to be linked to an accredited SMSF association the professional body themselves, or the accredited educators that come with that. And I guess where we then sit at Smarter SMSF is as an accredited educator in this space. Our model is built on what we see as reliable, so trusted, scalable, and low cost to you, that ultimately leverages the technology and our specialization. And we do that both in the context of our education, but we also do it with our documentation as well, which, as you know, those are the two limbs effectively to our business model. And we have been recognized throughout the journey in terms of being recognised as finalists this year twice in the Australian Wealth Management Awards and also in the SMSF Advisor Awards. And we have been around for a long time. The grey hair probably supports that a little bit now as well, but we do have a large number of firms that we work with. So whether it's through our training and document subscriptions or simply those that access any sort of content from us, and content being education-based content, content being document orders as well. I did touch on that we are an accredited educator with the SMSF Association, one of only 3 or 4 that hold that. And ultimately, this recognizes that we are, and the way in which we go about providing our education is a trusted brand mark within the industry to ensure that what you're getting is of the highest quality when it comes to the SMSF industry. And effectively, the SMSF Association endorses what we do to ensure that you keep up to date around that CPD requirement. And the outcome ultimately from all this is about having the confidence in the content that you're getting from us enables you to focus on what you do best. And that is to engage with your clients, provide the strategies, deliver on the opportunities that your clients are paying you ultimately to get access to. Now, many of you will know our team is literally has grown over the last sort of 18 months to 2 years, not only with myself in an education and technical role, but we now have specifically introduced Tim to that technical and education management piece. He, along with myself, but Tim predominantly becomes responsible for the delivery of our CPD training and technical support and course content. And for those that are members, you will have noticed the shift that we've had in our subscription-based training over the past 12 months, recognizing the involvement of Tim and the value in terms of how we structure that education and content for our members. And we'll go through some of that shortly, just to help you identify why things do look different to what has been in the marketplace previously under these subscriptions from us, but how we ultimately are differentiating in the marketplace today as well. So David, I might get you to talk a little bit here about the ways in which we ultimately deliver our CPD training.
Thanks, Aaron. Yeah, and when we go through this particular section, it's going to be fairly high level. And a little bit later in the presentation, we'll go through a live demo and look at each of these core elements of the delivery of CPD. So first one, I think many of you out there listening now have been to a webinar of some shape or form, although there's only limited CPD allocation in some of those webinars. So we send out our newsletters with a number of events, and some of those you'll notice have a green spot representing a CPD delivery in that particular webinar. So there's a number of different types of webinars, which we'll dive into a bit deeper and see, but high level, quarterly updates, specialist topics, such as tax planning and federal budget, those sorts of things. Our live masterclasses, which have been extremely popular. There's 3 of those a year, which are delivered, and we'll look at that in detail. We'll actually see these examples as we look at the live demo inside the platform shortly. So we'll go into a bit more detail about each of those. Face-to-face events. I know that a number of the people listening today have attended the face-to-face events. In a way, the masterclasses were born from those face-to-face events. So people wanted more CPD, more technical delivery with Aaron and Tim. So that's where we keep on evolving each of our sessions and what we're delivering. And there's self-paced e-learning and their courses that we'll look at after our demo, which will go into a little bit of detail. There's actually a webinar that we often hold on that topic alone because it's quite involved in each. So be it for new starters in the industry, new team members perhaps, or it's for yourself just to improve your knowledge even further, or even refresh some technical aspects of your knowledge. In dealing with client scenarios, we're designing a number of courses, and excitingly, there's that third dot point there about the advanced course. We'll have a look at what that involves as well.
Yep. Very good. Well,
Right.
David, I guess, and I might get you to sort of drive a little bit here as well, because you're very much a part of the initial journey of those that become CPD members. But in essence, what we want to do here is take you through what happens, in essence, from the time in which someone signs up. And that may be signing up as a CPD regular member, CPD business member, or in some instances, our CPD quarterly. And we'll talk a little bit more about those products shortly. But David, I'll get you to sort of kick things off from the time in which that subscription has ultimately been purchased.
Yeah, that's right. So once purchased, the first thing to expect is an email. In that email, you'll have your login details, because this is a subscription member access to the learning platform. So you'll have your welcome email with your login. In addition to that, you will see a system email. That's something that I've perhaps prompted in confirming emails that things don't end up in a junk folder. So you do get regular ongoing communication from us, and that's crucial. We'll soon see events that we hold as a part of the membership. So once you've your welcome email and your login, you'll also see a link to a help guide. The help guide is very important to get you started in a bit of a navigation around the learning platform and the different elements that make up the platform, and we'll look at that very soon in the demonstration.
Yep. Well, Dave, we might jump across there quickly here.
All right, so yeah.
So you do that. Yep. You keep talking. Yep.
All right. So well, while you're on the screen, we'll talk about the knowledge base. So in this section, and we'll see there's a link within the platform itself. This is an area of not only guides of the main beginning to log into the platform, but there's a number of other support materials on relating to the actual platform itself. And that could be a case of, well, how do I find webinars? Well, how do I find a resource? It could be a case study, or the activities related to a particular CPD event. So you can dive into the knowledge base and find all those help guides there. Aaron's on the screen now. That actually is an example of the link that is contained in the welcome email on the guide. And you can see it goes into detail of, once you've logged in, where you can find the different elements. In fact, that there is a resource, and very popular. The tax planning webinar each year has a 30, and in fact this year it was a 40-page checklist, and people often contact me and said, well, where's that checklist gone? I can't find it. So I sent them this guide, or other than talking to them. So yeah, it's very important. Or finding, it could be an assessment. They weren't able to attend an event. Then we'll talk about that type of scenario. That if you can't make a live event, no need to worry. As a CPD member, there's unlimited time, because each of the events, the recordings, the resources, the support materials, assessments are all in the library that you can go back and work through at your own pace, at your own time, to look at completing the activities and the assessment to ultimately generate a CPD certificate for yourself.
Yep.
So looking at now this screen here, we're looking at further about what to expect. So yeah, we've already mentioned about a welcome email, but then once you've gone in, you've looked at the system, and you've got this bit of a navigation around each and every event, you'll have an email. So it's all about that communication of one-click registration. So you'll get an email pop into your inbox, and it'll be, oh, I didn't even know there's an event coming up. And you click to register for a live webinar or a masterclass event.
Yeah, so the main thing here to note, David,
yep,
I think, is the fact that as members, a week or two before the webinar, you'll get that initial invitation. Look out for the newsletter about the events that are ultimately coming up. And you can go to the events page quite clearly on the Smarter SMSF site to find out when they are. So we'll always put a description about the event on the event page, and reference that members don't register from there. you will get the email sent to you to be able to register. And it is literally, as David indicated, a one-click registration process. Now, you might go, well, I didn't get that email. You may have missed it in some way, shape, or form on either the day before or the morning of webinars or masterclasses. You will then get reminder emails as well if you can join. So we do typically see an initial influx of members, and then we then see a final influx of members, I guess, in that reminder. So there is a process that we go through to make sure that you have ready access to be able to turn up to these events.
And that just sparked a number of calls that I often get on the morning of an event, as in masterclass in particular, where through that one-click registration, you'll be sent a Zoom link to the session. And that's most important, that you've got that Zoom link. And people will call and go, I one-clicked registered, but I haven't got the Zoom link and I know it's coming up. So, I'll generate a copy of that Zoom link to email it out to the members so they can join the session.
Yep.
So that's critical that you get those communications.
Yeah, and I guess the other part to the difference in the live webinar to the masterclass, we'll touch on this shortly, is we will usually set up some form of event page around that as well, because there is more information that is part of that session, and we'll touch on that a little bit more shortly as well.
That's right. And post-event, after the events have concluded, there's further communication about reminders that the recordings are then placed within the elements of the learning platform for you to then might want to review it again because you're at the live event. You think that's a great, I better go back and look at that later, that you can at your own time. So I might add here, outside the area of membership of CPD, there are people we find who do purchase these events individually, and they have a limited time to go back through a recording or to complete some of the assessment. So the benefit of a CPD member is that it's in the library for you to go back and access at your own time. And it's unlimited. So you've got access to not only the event that you've just attended, but a lot of other previous events are also placed inside the library.
Yeah, and I think, David, from that point of view, there is a very deliberate approach by us to really stretch the gap between those that want to access things on a pay-as-you-go basis versus those that have a membership. So, for example, our live masterclasses events are just that. We only have them as live. We don't enable those without a subscription to be able to access the recording. And again, this is all about ensuring that you benefit from being a member and really differentiating that from those that just want to attend. So we're not discouraging people from attending singular events if that's what you choose to do. But we are also quite deliberate in the fact that we want to give more benefits and really value stack the benefits of being a member when compared to someone looking to do that on a pay-as-you-go basis. And I think, David, a really good example of that we saw off the back of our June masterclass event was the fact that once people understood some of those key benefits between membership versus buying it as you go, a lot of those individuals then actually topped up with an offer that we had to take up the subscription, knowing that they would get access to, in essence, a guaranteed level of CPD for the financial year.
That's correct. Yep. And while we're on this screen here, there's exactly that, an example of a CPD certificate broken down into the knowledge areas, allocation of hours. Obviously, if you do attend an event live as a CPD member, they are generated for you attending that event. And as we'll soon see, that if you're unable to make the event, the opportunity is still there as a CPD member to get into the library, complete the assessment, watch obviously the recordings, work through the material, and generate a CPD certificate. And there's also the ability to, it is a learning management system in essence, where you can actually look at a dashboard of all your CPD, what you've completed, and if you need to go back and generate a CPD certificate, you can do that as well. I've even fielded calls, it goes back to 2 years, where people were looking for a certificate and we're able to locate those because they were a member. So yeah, an extra benefit.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I think the other part that we just wanted to highlight is the differences in the way in which the education is being provided within these relevant CPD subscriptions, because in the last 12 months, there has been a fairly strategic shift in the way in which we are delivering this education. And a lot of it is because there is a growing saturation of what webinars that are in the marketplace, but a lot of that we're seeing is there's a different motive in essence to some of those that are providing that, i.e., you may be a client of that organization and therefore they're providing that as an additional service to be able to deliver it. And so what we've done in terms of our CPD subscriptions for our CPD regular and CPD business is we are providing a reduced number of webinars, but we have in essence introduced our masterclass events. So just to distinguish between these two, we've got these couple of slides here that really outline how this works. So our webinars are really focused between 1 to 1.5 hours. So they are streamed live, and then we do add them into the Smarter Learning platform as well. Now, in the webinars that we do deliver, we do predominantly focus on our quarterly changing face of SMSF. So these are our technical and regulatory updates on changes that are happening over the financial year or calendar year, whichever way you want to look at it. So this is looking at policy issues, ATO updates, legislative change, all those things that I guess I touched on at the very beginning, Division 296 and private binding rulings and that sort of stuff. And not only do we deliver on that, it may be Tim, it may be myself, it may be both of us. We then also have a comprehensive workbook that comes with that references all those materials as well. And then alongside that, we kind of have our 2 or 3 other core webinars that we run each year that we know are hugely popular. So our May period, we have our SMSF tax planning event. David touched on that before, where we include things like our tax planning checklist that enables you to go in, get access to it, and then look to utilize it within your SMSF client base over that period of time to 30 June. We then also do things like our federal budget updates, and we do sessions at the start of the year, like our top 5 strategies and so forth as well. With our webinars, again, as a distinction here is we do upload these then within 2 to 3 days after the event into the learning platform. So whether you access the live session as a member or you want to go and watch that at a time that suits you, because it may actually be that you want to do that as some group training, you then have access to do that through the learning platform and enable that to basically watch at any time that you want to do. So that is available, like I said, for our CPD regular and CPD business subscribers. For our CPD quarterly subscription, they pretty much get access just to those quarterly updates as we run them throughout the year in March, June, September, and December. And then the other side of the coin here is our masterclass series. So when we introduced these around 12 months or so ago, there was a level of feedback that we got in surveying our members about the type of content that our members were after, and really distinguishing between what we call our Starter, Smarter, Smartest material. So in this instance, we have developed a case study and utilizing that case study throughout these masterclasses to build familiarization with a client as you would do, and looking at the different life stages of that particular fund and the family. So it is our Malthouse family and our Little Brewers Super Fund that we have used at our previous SMSF Day events as well. And the idea behind this is that we can look at specialist topics within these masterclass series to help unpick and unpack issues in respect to those topics. So we have run things like our annual compliance masterclass. We've run one on contributions. We've got one coming up in August around pensions as well. So the masterclasses here have an implied level of knowledge built in, and using interactions, so the different activities, it allows you to apply that knowledge to the specific situation and then give you some practical takeaways that go with it. And that's where we not only have case study answers, but we also then, where relevant, would introduce supporting materials as well, where we've had, again, contribution checklists or other materials that may support the different strategies and activities that we've built into that. And again, the same basis here, insofar that once the sessions have been held, we then will upload that material into the platform for our members to be able to access at a time that suits them. So the difference here ultimately is where it's pitched, I guess, one, the time frame. So we're looking at, with a webinar, a 1 to 1.5 hour session, as opposed to our masterclasses are 3 hours and are interactive, getting you in essence to be doing that work as well, rather than in a webinar where we're simply just delivering that to you from that point as well. So David, anything you want to sort of jump on with that? Otherwise, we might just jump actually into the platform.
We briefly covered it, Aaron, that with this particular event, there is a dedicated page that's all the members get notified of to get access to slides, the case study, and the activities. So different to the webinar.
Yes,
and again,
absolutely.
it's open to those who have purchased the ticket to the masterclass or as a CPD member.
Yep. Yeah. So we'll send out to you what that actual, what that link is to the particular page. And then there's a secure login that you can see there to then go in and actually download the pre-reading materials, for example. I can't remember, David, what the login to this one was, so I probably can't actually log in to do it. But in essence, we'll put information in here to get you ready for the masterclass event itself. So, David, I will navigate here and you can talk. I think it's probably the way to do it, and go from there.
All right, thanks, Aaron. We won't click on anything. Just as a high-level navigation, on the left-hand side, you'll see a menu. We'll access shortly. The main areas of the platform. So this is once you've logged in. It's a separate login to the document subscription, although I might quickly add that if you do have a document subscription as a member, they are the same login, so you can get through into both sides of the platform. So on that front screen, it is a dashboard. I call it a dashboard. Navigation menu, main elements on screen. Just to point out there, of one of those elements, the SMSF courses, although you are a CPD member, it's an additional area of purchase if you are going to, and we'll have a look at this a couple of slides after the demo, but it's only if you purchase those particular products will you have further access into that element area. So and Aaron's just clicked on that to see the three different types of courses that are available. So you'll be able to get to that front page, but won't be able to go any further into the materials. We'll have a look at shortly the masterclass and the webinar element area. I was talking about a dashboard. There we can see your CPD hours, the courses that have been completed, and also the courses that you're currently either just finished and completed an assessment or might be working through. So there's an access point to go back and continue where you left off. And that's another benefit of the platform itself, where wherever you are, whatever area you're accessing, it will save and you can go back in and continue where you left off as well. So there's that time element is open. So let's have a look at the masterclass as an example. And we'll see in here the previous masterclasses that have been held we'll have access to. There we are there, the different topics. Notice that there's a green completion. It will either have enrolled or completed, depends if you've got through the assessment to generate the CPD certificate. At the top of the screen, you can see a progress bar, and you can straight away, with Aaron's example, access a CPD certificate. We won't do that, but when you arrive at the there's a welcome screen. A little bit different to the webinars. There's no welcome screen. You'll have the recording posted, but in the masterclass, there is an introduction And then you've got the different course contents. And in this case here, it's broken up into 2 sessions, the pre and post sort of lunch, I guess, sessions that are usually held live. So in the recording, you can hit that play button and away you go. Where you notice on the screen there above the recording, there's a lesson tab, and that's where we currently are. We're in the lesson itself. So we can watch the recording, fast forward, go back through an area that we noted perhaps in a live session that was a particular topic or a calculation or something we need to look at again. We've got, as a member, we can go and look at this recording. So in the lesson, pretty easy, watch the recording and working away through that recording, that the system will then acknowledge that you've completed watching that particular playback, and that's also the same as the webinar playbacks as well, because the system will then note that you've reviewed the material to then go on to the assessment piece, if that is what's required.
Yep.
All right, so you can see there's the timing and the fast forward and replay and all those sorts of things. If you go to the quiz, we can access that quiz. Quizzes are usually you've got 2 attempts to complete the assessment, multi-choice. If something doesn't quite work out, then I'll add that people do contact me about that they haven't got through the assessment piece. We can review why they haven't achieved that success. If they want a question, we can certainly look at why it is the case, and we can reset it if people need to attempt that again. So there's we're open to communication. In fact, every single person who becomes a member, I'm always contacting them by phone to make sure they've got that login. So even from day one, you'll hear from us. It's not just from day one, it's the ongoing comms. All right, so within back to that lesson tab.
I was just going to say, David, the final one there is once they've completed the modules. So the modules that are here, in this instance, there's 2 modules and then the assessment. It's at that point that then the certificate will appear at the top here. So from there, then you can download the particular certificate. There'll be there's a issue on that, but I can fix that, because this is one that was probably doing the testing when I was getting it uploaded. But in essence, that's where you've got your certificate. And what I should say is, in the actual dashboard summary that you can see at the beginning, this assessment, this masterclass, for example, was 4 CPD hours. So when we actually look at the points allocation here in the courses, you can actually, when you complete it, we will assign the 4 points or 4 hours in essence there. So if you kind of need to get a bit of an understanding of how many hours you might have done, you'll be able to, in essence, get that information from that particular process. So as David was indicating, when we run a particular masterclass, they will get added into here, and then you can go in and do any of these at a time that may suit you. So I just touched on the property masterclass. The same principles apply in each of these, whereby you've got your certificate, you've got your part 1 and part 2, because as David did mention there, we do usually straddle it on the Eastern Seaboard anyway, straddle it over the over a half an hour lunch break, enable you to kind of reset, and then you can go in and do the questions and stuff and get your certificate there as well.
And if you actually click back on the bottom of one of those recording sessions, we found there was a couple of tabs there that popped up.
Yep.
One was lesson for the playback, and the other was for the resources. So this is where you can find your case study, the activities to prepare if you were potentially going to the live event, or you need to complete the assessment piece. So
you've got all that,
you
that
can
information there,
PDFs.
the different materials and that sort of stuff. Yep.
All right. Well, let's have a quick look at the webinars. Let's pick the tax planning one, for example, anyway, to find that checklist as everybody keeps asking about. So, and we'll look at the differences in the layout. So webinars, again, you've got a screen that will pop up with it's a library. So if there's a particular topic you want to go back through, you can locate that. Even if you may not have completed all the assessments or you have a number of hours to catch up on, here's your opportunity to go back through a webinar to look at the recording, complete the assessment, generate a certificate and hours. Tax planning, yep. So
And
those
it's all
who have purchased,
searchable. I think that's important, David, there. So if you're
yes.
looking for a particular topic in that navigation at the top there, you could write LRBA, for example, and it will then pick up the different topics that we've run that include something on LRBAs.
That's right. Yeah. And so it's the resource library. So that's another benefit of becoming a member, where you've got and a number of people do this. They purchase not just for the hours, but the ability to go back. They don't want to be looking through, hours and pages of ATO websites to find the technical answers. Yeah, they can look through the library here. So a little bit different on the basis of the webinars. You do have potentially an introduction webinar recording there, but straight down the bottom, you've got the content and the assessment. Green ticket's been watched already, of course, but if you click on that, you can see that the recording is available. Again, same principle layout, lesson tab is showing. Watch the recording, and once that's been completed, the system will acknowledge that you have watched the material. Material tab to download the slides and complete. Well, this is where the checklist was. The assessment pieces outside this area. Don't forget, we're inside the recording area environment. So, yeah, the checklist is a PDF that's easily downloadable.
Yep. And then, as David was indicating there as well, you can work through the navigation on the left side here, or you can simply just go to the next here in the quiz. So what you will see as I was closing and opening this is that it is a fully mobile responsive site. So that means if you want to do it via a PC, you want to do it via a laptop, you want to do it on an iPad, you want to do it on a mobile phone, you can access it in any of those ways, and the actual pages are all fully mobile responsive to enable you to do the learning at a time and a pace and in a format that ultimately suits you. And then once you've, in essence, completed that process, again, with the particular quiz and the time frame that you have and the requirements to complete it, again, we go back to the completion, in essence, of that. So recognizing that the module or the lesson itself has been completed, and then the quiz has been completed, and then it will enable you to go in and access the CPD certificate from that particular event as well. So you'll literally see at the top of the screen here again that because I have actually completed that one, the certificate is therefore available to download again as well. So the foundations of the platform in terms of a webinar and a masterclass are ultimately the same. So your user experience looks similar to the fact that if you're accessing it via the platform, you'll need to enroll, watch, complete an assessment, and then get your CPD certificate. That process exists regardless of whether it's just a webinar or whether it becomes a masterclass event.
And just a note here, Aaron, the levels of subscription. As a CPD regular or CPD business member, you actually have the CPD quarterly membership built in. So that's where you, looking at that webinar section, there were a number of quarterly updates within that list. And that is, in essence, the CPD quarterly membership. So that's all combined in those other two packages.
Yeah, so that ability to search there is what I was just going to show about the fact that it then starts to drill down. So we do keep webinars, so we have a fairly comprehensive library of topics. Some of them we've naturally kept because there is things that we may have held 3 or 4 years ago that really the law hasn't changed in that particular area. So whether it's maybe related party, and you can see there, we've done one on business real property back then. We did one in dealing with related parties in 2023. They're areas that may not have necessarily changed much if we looked at something like residency. again, very similar, where we've got different topics in there and allowing you to drill down and find out, well, what is it that they were talking about on residency? You can get a bit of a sneak peek in here if that gives you enough information. Otherwise, you can go in and have a look at the webinar at your own time and in your own pace.
All right. And yeah, so that's it's important. There's that support on that menu on the left-hand side. The support there I was mentioning earlier, if something doesn't quite work out regarding the assessment, you can reach out to us other than making a call.
Yeah,
so,
and across the platform generally, you've always got the ability to either email us at support@smartersmsf.com. We've naturally got our knowledge base. So the knowledge base that you can see on here with the support enables you to go into our knowledge base and where we showed you the user guide and stuff before, but this gives you instant access to it. So if I wanted to look at CPD user guide, then it will allow us to search, and you can find here a whole range of different things to help you to go, well, how do I access the masterclass? Or I'm working on the foundations course, there's a user guide, or how do I access the webinar recording? Or otherwise, you can go in here and simply ask that question. And then you've got the fact that it will log a ticket and you can track the ticket accordingly from there as well. So there are a number of ways in which you can ultimately get the support that you need. And one of those areas that we're doing a lot of work on at the moment is actually in the support area generally. So building, in essence, a technical support service that enables you to be able to access those through a fully ticketed support system that we already have in place, but allowing you to ask those technical questions and have them answered by our team as well. So, David, I think that probably covers everything on the site here.
Yes.
Yep. Cool. All right. Well, let's jump back to our slides then. And I guess talk to the benefits of the subscription. So I guess we've highlighted a lot of these things for you already here insofar that we've got a fairly streamlined and structured approach to getting you in to access the webinars and masterclasses that form part of your subscription. Now, in addition to that, we do then provide discounts and priority access to other CPD-based stuff that we do. So our SMSF days is a perfect case in point, where we do have member-based pricing that is substantially cheaper than what our standard ticket pricing is, and similarly with our courses. The fact that, as we've shown, our learning platform gives you access to all of the training, not only what we may have just held, but historically have held, enabling you as a member to tap in and get the CPD that you may need, sometimes in a very short period of time, which I know some people did in the lead up to 30 June, or people even do to the end of December, subject to when that triennial sort of period may be. But then it's the access to all the other materials. So the slides, the workbooks, the checklists, those sorts of things as well, that if you are buying these things on a pay-as-you-go basis, you simply don't get access to that. You turn up, you get given things, and then basically you are done from there. So there's really some significant tangible benefits that we can see, and we're continuing to try and expand that further around why being a member is a lot better than actually buying these on a pay-as-you-go basis, including the fact that it does become substantially cheaper based upon the level of CPD that you're needing to actually obtain yourself. So, David, anything else you want to sort of add to that slide before we jump across to, I guess, help people try and navigate where and what type of CPD subscription might suit them?
No, let's go there.
Yep, go for it. Yep. All right. Well, you can have a crack at this.
So we put a matrix together with a, all right. So with that particular matrix, it's all about fielding. It's actually been put together from a number of questions that I kept getting fielded, and it's working through your education needs, really. The need for training, the need for your education, the number of hours, structured or unstructured hours as well. Who is it for, yourself or a team? of people within the business. So working through that, you then arrive at those diamonds, which are decisions of is it structured? And let's work through the short one first on CPD quarterly. So no, I don't need any structured hours. I don't need any to maintain my membership of a professional body. I've already got CPD with another educator. So I'm looking at, I've been to conferences, I've seen Tim, I've seen Aaron present. So I'm looking at topping up and accessing their knowledge and their topics. So that's where working down through that matrix, less than 10 hours, I just need to top up. So yes, CPD quarterly is the right outcome. If you do need a further range of topics, number of hours, I've been to a face-to-face event. I didn't realize you've got masterclasses available. I need more than, I need at least 120 hours. Then this is where you start to work down and see where either yes or no, is it for a team or is it for yourself? Where you arrive at a CPD regular, being a single subscriber, or a team of 5 or more for your team. Therefore, CPD business subscription is perhaps the great outcome for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And David, on that, I guess if we look to the subscription packages, this is where you start to see the distinction between those. So the CPD quarterly is pretty self-explanatory. It gives you access to the quarterly training that we run, and we ultimately guarantee about 6 hours of CPD off the back of that. It's potentially 8 once you start adding the workbooks and stuff in it as well. But it's really then our CPD regular and our CPD business-based subscription. And think about this in the context of either, do I need CPD for myself or do I need CPD for me and my team? Because that's ultimately where we land with this. The delivery of the content in both of those subscriptions is the same, but it's just whether you need it for one person or you need it for multiple people. Now, our CPD business package that you can see there is suitable for up to 5 users. Now, we do have firms that have potentially 10 users on this subscription, and therefore what we do is we just adjust either the annual or the monthly payment off the back of it. So even though we do price it and situate it for up to 5 users, it is fully flexible based upon the needs of a particular firm around that CPD business solution. And we basically aggregate those users under the business that holds that subscription. And we know, therefore, that there are 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 users, so that each of those users gets the same invite into the live webinars that are going to be happening. So the one-click registration, as we spoke about, but then they also get that login access to the learning platform so that they can go in, and they might not be able to attend the live session. So they'll go in and watch that CPD session themselves in a time and place that ultimately suits them.
And also, Aaron, every one of those, if under a CPD business, those staff members as members have their own login. And
yep.
Also the assessment piece is generating their own named CPD certificate.
Correct. Yeah. So and again, this comes back to the practicalities of the platform more generally, is that everyone has their own login. We have single sign-on across the platform because they may want to be, or they are using documents as much as you're using the education piece as well. So they're in essence the core of our education solutions under the CPD packages. We naturally also have things like customized in-house training. So Tim and myself, for those that might want to do and complement some of the training that we do online with some in-house stuff, we can also deliver that as well. And it should be noted, this pricing currently there, we will shortly be increasing those prices. They were to be 1 July. We've sort of the workload that we've had, we haven't, but there is an opportunity to take advantage of that before that does rise in the next week or so as well. So David, let's just touch on a couple of quick case study scenarios to really identify what sort of package works for different people.
All right. And Jackie here has a team of 8 staff members in a CPD environment that might be watching webinars in a boardroom, time for discussion, assessment. So now with perhaps post the COVID era, people are working from home as well as attending the office. So the individual CPD subscription doesn't fit that sort of model anymore. And also that some of those team members need their own CPD certificate to meet certain requirements. So then the right example there, the outcome is a CPD business subscription for, in this case here, as Aaron's just pointed out, that although it was up to 5 team members, it is workable to cater for those 8 staff members and their access to a CPD business subscription.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a really important point, because you may have some team members that need training, but they might not at this stage need the certificate. So, it may be that in this instance, 5 would be sufficient, but if we need it for 8, then we can accommodate the 8 as part of the CPD business package as well.
And there's a number of businesses out there who contact me and say, well, I've already got a CPD business subscription. I've got some new team members who have joined. Can we add those into the system? And yes, we can. We can certainly go for those new members.
Absolutely.
Here we are. Jackie needs to remain up to date with the legislative and technical information. She attends CPD events, conferences, webinars, already a number of hours, and she's looking just to top up. So in this case here, through our CPD quarterly package, with our 4 webinars and assessment piece, that's the usually 90 minutes, as we've just covered, is quite adequate for the need of Jackie in this scenario.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess some common FAQs, we've probably answered much of this as we've gone along, but ultimately we've looked at the fact that it's fully mobile responsive. In terms of the relevancy of the way in which we deliver our CPD, I think ultimately it comes back to the different sessions that we run suit different levels of expertise within a business. So our SMSF masterclasses are designed for those that are far more proficient within the industry, whereas our technical updates may not only benefit those that may be more manager level and specialist level, but can also potentially help keep those that are more generalists up to date in terms of what's happening as well. In terms of sort of what I'd call base level training, so foundation level training, things like offshore teams and maybe students coming into the sector, our CPD packages aren't really designed for them. But what we have done, of course, is build our foundations course to enable them to really accelerate their initial learning. And then from there, they would move on into the benefits of what a CPD package might be for them. So our CPD naturally counts for the accounting bodies, tax practitioners board, ASIC areas, which cover what were previously those FAQs knowledge areas for advisors. As an accredited educator for the SMSF Association, we naturally have the accreditation there as well, and for SMSF audit hours too. So they're probably the main things. I think the common one we get, David, is well, I've got a CPD regular. Can someone else access that subscription? Well, the short answer is if they're watching it in a room with you, they probably can. We can't stop that, but we will only be issuing the CPD certificate for the CPD for that person that actually has the subscription themselves. So that's where things have evolved from being a single subscription into a business subscription. So if you then need additional staff to be able to tap in from a CPD point of view, then you basically need to uplift to that CPD business solution as well. And again, yes, you can sort of turn up and take on board some of these events that we run on a pay-as-you-go basis, but quite clearly, once you start to look at something like a masterclass, which is sort of $300 odd versus a CPD subscription that's $800 at the moment, it very quickly adds up, and you can see how soon you can fast track and go beyond what it would cost if you tried to do that on a one-to-one basis. So any other questions there, David, before we sort of jump over to
well, that
last final bit?
That last Yes, Aaron, that last question. In fact, I called a member yesterday afternoon who had purchased a tax planning webinar and was a CPD regular subscriber. And I said, did you know you did this? She goes, no, I don't know. Arthur from Arthur, given, the May deadline and end of financial year. And I said, look, but I'm quite happy to extend your renewal out by a couple of months. She said, fantastic, because yeah, she picks up another masterclass in that subscription period. So it worked out really well. So there we go.
Very good. So in terms, I guess, our other CPD education and support, just making people aware, of course, that we do have our SMSF Foundations course and our SMSF Essentials course now available via the platform. So we did touch on in the session before. So if I just jump back in, we have our courses that sit within here. So you can use that same login in essence that someone may have. So you may have a CPD business subscription, and you may have a student that wants to now complete the Essentials course, upskill themselves, or they may be starting, and therefore the Foundations course may be more relevant to them. So from that point of view, you then can come in and access this through that same login. And again, the same principles here with the different modules, with assessment built into each of those modules, and then the certificate that comes out of the back of that as well. Just making you aware that that sort of stuff is available from within the platform as well. And we do have the opportunity to white label this education as well, where we have much larger firms that might want to put through multiple staff. So we're talking about tens or even hundreds of staff through that process, that we do have the ability to externally plug that into learning management systems there as well. But you can see the breakdown of the Foundations course and Essentials course there. I think the most important thing to note with this is that we do have add-on updates available with these courses. So whilst you might go beyond the ordinary course of time that it takes to complete one of these courses, you can use it as a resource as well. So we regularly make changes to the content quite naturally. So therefore, if you wanted to go back and look at the changes as a result of, say, contributions, the add-on update is certainly something there as well. We have introduced some AI into our courses, so you can be asking questions of the bot as you're working through the course. And we've spoken about that in some of the course training that we've done previously as webinars. You can go to our YouTube channel. But I think the most important element to this is that what we've done with the SMSF Association, and this is where if you complete our SMSF Foundations course or the Essentials course, you will get the ability to claim a complimentary period of membership with the SMSF Association. So what we've done with our Foundations course here is that we have a complimentary period of affiliate membership with the SMSF Association. There is a 31 March anniversary each and every year. And then similarly with the Essentials course, there is a complimentary period of associate membership with the SMSF Association, valued at around $650 odd. So these are some benefits that we've really stacked into the courses for you as well. So if they are areas that naturally are of interest to you, then you can take advantage of the relationship that we have as an accredited educator to be able to deliver some additional benefits to the courses that we have there as well. So I think as a bit of a wrap up to today's session, we know being busy creates real challenges of keeping up to date. So a CPD subscription like we have at Smarter SMSF allows you to invest in yourself and your team with timely knowledge that enables you to be able to keep up with what's happening and ensure that your clients' circumstances and affairs are as current as they can possibly be in the environment which we currently live in. We know that timely and relevant information is crucial to the success in your role. So that's why we have so many rely upon us to deliver this, and through the different ways in which we help our members go from starter to smarter to smartest ultimately. And the different tools that we have and the products that we have to enable you to do that. So it's all about, in our view, the ability for you to leverage off our Smarter SMSF specialization and then use the technology that we have to enable you to do that in a cost-effective basis, but then look at our other products, such as our documents, to effectively implement across a range of these as well. So doing things as efficiently and as cost effectively as you possibly can. So I guess, David, in wrapping up, is there any sort of final comments that you wanted to make off the back of that slide, or more generally?
Yes, Sarah. Look, I think today we've demonstrated that as a member, there's a lot more than just simply turning up to a webinar on a particular time. So you'll have all the material, you'll get the communication, and you have the ability to go back through that material in your own time, at your own pace, to ensure that you are meeting your requirements related to CPD.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have a range of events coming up. We do, on the 16th of July, have our Smarter SMSF update. So where we actually take you through what's been happening on the platform, whether it's documents and education, and so forth. The other thing that we have created this year for the first time at the end of July is our Smarter Legal Week. So we do have a range of sessions throughout that week where we're looking at the Smarter SMSF deed and certain requirements you should be looking for within the deed, our Smarter Legal Review Service and how you can utilize that. We'll be also looking at creating SMSF powers of attorney as part of the integration work that we've done with Inherit Australia. And we'll also be taking a look at the role of a fund guardian and the ability to order those documents via the Smarter SMSF platform as well. And I encourage you, if you haven't seen a lot of these sessions, and also things like our weekly Feeling Smarter videos, all get uploaded onto our YouTube channel. So you can go and watch those at any time, or alternatively subscribe. And then as soon as those are obviously uploaded, you'll get confirmation that is there, and you can go and watch it at a time, obviously, that suits you as well. So thank you, David, for joining me today for today's session around our Smarter CPD packages. If you do have any questions, please feel free to get in contact with us. We will send you a copy of the slides after today's session. But otherwise, yeah, look forward to seeing you hopefully at an upcoming event in the not too distant future. Take care and bye for now.